Hello and welcome to Star Wars Real Talk. Today we are here with our second official guest. We are here with Star Wars Casual. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? I'm not too bad. Happy to be here.
Right on. Well, thanks for being the second guest.
Mhm.
I'm still a little bit new to the streaming game, so I appreciate you letting me work through the kinks with you here. So, you've been streaming on Twitch a little bit, right?
Yeah, I didn't know how to stream on YouTube because I've only had my channel for about a month or two now. Um, I started streaming on Twitch 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Mm.
Aramal, he's a big member in your Discord. He kind of started hanging out, started bringing some of his friends onto my Twitch. So I decided that it's time for me to move more into YouTube Live and get serious about it. So
Yeah. Yeah. How are you liking the Twitch? Because I've never streamed on Twitch. How are you liking it so far?
it's not bad. It's a lot easier to get people watching your stream on YouTube. Getting people to watch your stream on like Twitch, it's not as easy.
No?
No, because I think the most people I've got watching my Twitch is like 5 or 6 at one time. Um,
Those are not bad beginner numbers though. Like they're pretty good. Like on my average stream, I don't do much better than 6 to 10 people either.
yeah. I think when I streamed with X-Wing, I got a lot of people on. I got like I think it's like 20 people on my stream at one point
Wow,
because
that's pretty good.
people love that guy.
Yeah, yeah, he's got a lot of charisma. I'll be streaming with him I think next week, so I'm looking forward to that. He brings a lot of good energy.
He's such a nice guy. I'm very happy that I had him on for my first stream. He was an
Mm,
awesome dude.
yeah. So you're liking the YouTube side of things though?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. People are super supportive, man. It's crazy. I know that eventually I'll get to the point to where I have a troll or two, or
Mm,
hopefully I get to the point where I have 10 or 20. But um, as of right now, people are so nice. People are so cool. Um,
hmm
I mean, you've been super supportive. Arrow Mall, X Wing, all the people in the Discord. Like, people are awesome. It's an awesome community.
It is an awesome community. I have another YouTube channel kind of in the health and fitness side of things, and there is not like, and I've been doing that for like 6 years, and it not even close to the support that Star Wars community you see someone with a small channel, and it's just like everyone just gets each other's backs, and like we may disagree on opinions when it comes to the sequels or the prequels or whatever, but we've all got each other's backs for the most part.
Yeah, the way I like to think about it is like Star Wars is like a world that we can escape reality and kind of go into like this awesome world, and we're all in this world together.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, man. I totally agree with you. So, what inspired you to start your channel or your Twitch?
Man, so for the most part, it was I don't really have a lot of friends that like Star Wars. I'm fairly alone when it comes to Star Wars in my family and my friend group. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about Star Wars with people. So I started my YouTube channel, then I started my Twitch to talk to people, and then that's when I went on and started doing the YouTube live and stuff, and that's when I got to the point where I started kind of coming up with a lot of ideas and stuff. And I'm hoping to one day do kind of something like what they do with the Star Wars Council
Hmm
that Theory does, where I just bring a bunch of people on like every Friday or something, and I just have a big group of people we can just talk about Star Wars with.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good goal. I think that's really possible, especially since so many of us have channels and we're trying to get our voices out there and heard. So I don't think you're going to have a very hard time filling that.
Mhm.
I'll for sure join you there.
Yeah, I would love to have you, man. I That's the thing. Like we all love Star Wars, and we can all hang out and talk about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what inspired me to start my channel too. Was just wanting to talk about Star Wars so badly and not having anybody to talk to. So I just made the channel. And I'm like, I don't even care if anybody watches me. I just need to talk about Star Wars.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
just need to talk about it.
That and then like with me, I hard binge watched. I think it's like a 3 week span. I watched all of Clone Wars and Rebels,
Hmm.
just hardcore, watch like 3 episodes a day. And then I was like, man, I love this. I need to start I need to talk about it. So I started the YouTube channel.
Hmm. And for the most part, a lot of us we've all been talking about Star Wars content that's been out for like a long time already. Like the movies are like so old already. Even the shows like Star Wars Rebels and Clone Wars, like they've been out for a long time. So we've all been kind of trying to find new ways to hit these shows, new angles. So it's really refreshing that now like new Star Wars is coming out, and it's like TV shows every week we have stuff to talk about instead of like one giant movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, last night I did my first Bad Batch live stream,
Mm.
and Arrow Mall was on there with me. And man, me and him started theorizing hard about Star Wars. Like, we started going into some crazy stuff, like that all this stuff is leading into like a big end game style, and where it's not going to be fighting Thrawn. We're going to team up with Thrawn to fight the Yuzong Vong,
Okay.
and it's going to be Luke Skywalker and his Jedi with the Chiss, and we're all fighting. We started going crazy with the theories.
Yeah, well, there's so much you can do, and now with all the shows that they've announced and like the crossovers, we're already starting to see them set up. Like
Mhm.
they haven't announced anything, they haven't established anything, but like just by like introducing characters in shows at certain times, like the fans are going to put it together.
Oh yeah, Filoni's great at that too. Filoni is great at giving us those little hints. Here, it's like a little bit here, a little bit there. Like in Bad Batch so far. I mean, we've had 2 episodes where, I mean, first Rex was shown in the trailer, then he was talked about just for a split second in an episode, and then in the last episode, they were talking about an uninhabited planet. The trailer, we see Rex on a pretty uninhabited planet. So they're
They're
just dropping
baiting
us these
us.
little bits.
Yeah, they're baiting us with Rex, and I do definitely want to dive into a little bit more Bad Batch stuff, but I'll save it for just a little bit because
Yeah,
it is maybe spoiler content, and if anyone wants to listen to us, and then they can save the other
yeah.
part of it for later. So something that I want to ask everyone who comes on my Real Talk show is, I feel like everybody has a pretty unique Star Wars story as to how they got into it. What was the latest movie that came out when they started watching Star Wars? Everyone kind of has a unique angle on it. So I was wondering what was your Star Wars story?
So Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Revenge of the Sith was what time? The previous movie, what year did that come out? Do you know?
Um, that's a good question.
Was that the 99 one?
I think 99 was episode 1 and 2005 was episode 3. So episode 2 was somewhere in the middle there.
So I think episode 2 was probably the first one that I saw. Um, actually the first movie that I watched in general. I've been watching uh, Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi for years. Return of the Jedi was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I love that Vader and Luke fight scene. I thought it was awesome. So that's kind of where I first met Star Wars. I love
Mm-hmm.
Darth Vader. I keep this little thing here on my desk.
Oh yeah. I saw your Lego review. Right on.
Yeah, I do. I'm a big Darth Vader fan. I was Darth Vader practically every year for Halloween when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've done that too.
That's kind of where it first started. Was I saw this cool bad guy, and I loved him, and I wanted to like be this cool guy in this cool suit. And then I remember like watching Clone Wars every day before school, just stuff like that. Just kind of watching the movies, and very quickly as a kid, just kind of latching onto these characters. And then as I get older and I start kind of understanding the more emotional side, you start to find the characters that you can relate with, and that's kind of where I really got hooked. Is once I kind of started to relate my real life with the characters in the movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the funny thing about Darth Vader is that like he's a villain, like he's the bad guy, but we don't ever really look at him that way. You know, even
Hmm.
before we had all this prequel stuff to like show his backstory, like everyone loved him, even as a villain, which is interesting. Like you saying that he was the bad guy, but I wanted to be him. It's like, how many villains can we say that about?
Exactly. I mean, you look at Marvel. I mean, no one wants to be Thanos. He wiped out half the universe. Everyone hates Thanos. No one. I mean, there's a lot of characters that like, oh, they're the bad guy. We don't like them. But that's the thing is, like, we all just we saw Darth Vader and we were like, man, he is this cool, intimidating force. He's got that awesome voice. He's got that badass look. I want to be that guy.
Hmm. Would you say that he's your favorite Sith?
Ooh,
Because you did a video on that, didn't you?
yeah. Honestly, I can't even remember who my number one Sith was.
That's okay. I'm not going to hold you to it.
I think, man, my top three are Vader, Malgus, and Revan. I think right now it's a constant changing list too. Depends on who I'm into at that time and what I'm watching.
Yeah.
Same with my top Jedi. My top Jedi are constantly changing too. Depends on like if I go back and watch the original trilogy, I'm like, man, Luke is my number one. Luke is awesome. But then I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, Mace Windu is awesome. Or I'll just constantly be changing. So
That's true. I've never thought about my favorite Jedi. It's funny that you should say that. I don't even know who. Probably Obi-Wan, I guess. But for me, it was kind of like when I was growing up, I loved Obi-Wan because he was like he was the white knight. He was the good guy, always following the law, whatever. But then as I grow older, you start to understand the complexity of Anakin. You start to see that Obi-Wan being such a white knight was maybe not such a good thing, and was maybe part of the reason why the Jedi fell in the first place.
mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, I just watched a video right before we came on stream, and it talked about something that I never thought of, and that's that the Jedi's loyalty was supposed to be to the Force, but Obi-Wan, when he's talking to Anakin on Mustafar, says that his loyalty is to the Republic, and that was the downfall of the Jedi. Was not that they were loyal to the Force; they were loyal to the Republic.
That is interesting. Yeah, and that they define themselves as peacekeepers, but we don't ever see them. I mean, Obi-Wan is the closest thing we see to that. I mean, because he's the negotiator and everything. But for the most part, they just, to an average Star Wars fan, you're just going to assume that the Jedi were all warriors, and that's what they did.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I think that the Jedi were probably at their best during the High Republic era because, I mean, you had the Sith over there, they're doing their thing. You have the Jedi over here. They've each got their own area of space. They're kind of doing their own things till the Sith decide to come and start trying to invade the Jedi space. But
so, have you been liking the High Republic?
High Republic is probably, man, I have a hard time with this. It might be my favorite era of Star Wars, maybe other than the Clone Wars. Either between the High Republic or Clone Wars. I think the characters are just awesome. I just love the Darth Malgus story. I talk about it all the time. Just the fact that kind of growing up in the Sith.
So sorry to interrupt you. Aramal just asked, do you mean the Old Republic?
Old Republic, yeah. I don't know why I keep saying High Republic.
Good. I wanted to just clarify.
Yeah. No, High Republic. No,
continue though. Continue.
The Old Republic, like the Darth Malgus era. Like the fact, I think it's so cool that like the way that he was able to, like he had that vision, saw himself destroying the Jedi Temple, or he saw the Jedi Temple in flames, thought it was going to be him, and then just went in and just did it. He just went in and killed all the Jedi. And just the way that he went about himself, like he just had his Sith crash a plane through the front of the Jedi Temple and just kill all the Jedi. And then they just walk out. And the cutscene just shows him like looking back at the Jedi Temple, like he's just such a badass Sith.
Yeah, does what he wants. So I'll get your opinion on this because I haven't talked Old Republic on my channel because I don't know a lot about it. I didn't grow up with consoles or anything that played it. I'm looking to get into it now, but I know that they've announced that it is potentially going to be remastered. In your opinion, should I get into it as it is now or wait for the remaster?
Wait for the remaster.
Yeah.
I haven't played that much of it. It's more just that I've done a lot of research into the storyline of it.
Mm.
I haven't really played much of the game itself. I would wait for the remaster to come because I would assume it would pretty much just be the exact same game. They're just gonna maybe tweak a few things,
Mm.
bring us better graphics.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah.
I'm
So.
I'm happy about it because it's gonna. I hopefully it's gonna bring it back to canon, which would be awesome. Because hopefully they could. I talk about it quite a bit. I'm hoping that they'll bring us like an Old Republic trilogy, give us like that era of like either the Eternal Empire or
Mhm.
like Malgus's Sith or something like that.
Yeah, I like what you said about it being a trilogy. I mean, there's we can leave the Skywalker thing like it's been done. Let's
Mm-hmm.
do a trilogy, Old Republic. Let's do High Republic. Like there's 20 years of Star Wars movies right there. And why not? They're gonna make they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna make busloads of money off of it.
Yeah, I mean, you left a sour taste in our mouth with the ending of the Skywalker. Let's just leave the Skywalker now.
Yeah.
Let's move on to something. Give us something like even like Darth Bane or Darth Revan. I
Hmm.
don't know how much you know about them, but they're pretty badass.
I know the basics.
Yeah, Revan, his whole storyline of fighting the Mandalorian Wars, killing Mandalore, and going to the Sith, and then coming back to the Jedi. It's an awesome storyline.
Hmm. So have you dabbled in the High Republic at all yet?
Not a lot, um, a little bit. I've heard some very. I was very hesitant to really get into it because I heard some very mixed reviews on it.
Hmm.
I've heard a lot of people weren't big fans of it, so I've been a little hesitant on it.
Yeah. No, yeah, me too. Especially it being comics and books, and man, university just killed my desire to read anything anymore. I got to get into audiobooks, maybe eventually when if there's an audiobook out or something, but
The
I know.
comics are the comics are a lot of fun. I really enjoy the comics. The first comic I read was The Rise of Kylo Ren.
Hmm.
That's an awesome
I've
comic.
been, I've been thinking about that one. Like I have sorry, I should have said I enjoyed the Darth Vader comics. I've read those because I love Darth Vader. I already know I love him, but to start a
Yeah,
new comic with new characters is a little more hard.
the Rise of Kylo Ren comic, in my opinion, is a must read. Read that and then go and watch the sequels because it gives you that backstory for
Hmm.
Kylo Ren that I mean they just don't give you in the movies. It tells you all about how he met the Knights of Ren, how he met Snoke, um, and
Hmm.
then it makes that scene with Palpatine a little bit better, where he says that he was the voices in his head because it elaborates a lot more in the comics on that. So
Hmm.
I think that's definitely a must-read comic.
Okay, that's good to know. Do you think that does like justice to the sequels? Like it really helps fill in his character?
No, not at all. Not at all. It does. It does some good. It
Hmm.
definitely makes the character better. It makes it a lot better to like understand Kylo Ren because that was my biggest problem with the sequels is that they just didn't develop Kylo Ren. He could have been an awesome bad guy. The way I see him is like an Anakin if he never got injured on Mustafar, an angsty young man who just is new to the dark side and just is filled with rage and anger. He's like a new Sith. He's young. I think that's kind of where their head was at when they made him.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, it's and people could have been adding Kylo Ren to their top five Siths, but no one's he just never really they never really filled that in as much as they
mhm.
could have. So he's my favorite character of the sequels, by the way.
Oh,
But
me too.
but
Yeah,
still, he could have had a lot more depth to him. So
that's. I think that's the biggest problem in general with the sequels is they just didn't add depth to the characters.
hmm.
They gave us a bunch of action scenes that weren't necessary. Like obviously we love the action scenes, but give us some story to the action scenes. Like as far as we know, Rey is just naturally good at the Force because she is a Palpatine,
Hmm.
or like Kylo Ren just turned to the dark side because Luke saw something inside him, Like
Yeah.
they don't really tell the story. Like you have to go to the comics to see the story. But
Yeah.
that's the whole Skywalker saga, is that you don't have to go to anything else to know the Skywalker saga. You just know the Skywalker saga.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, say what you will about George's dialogue, but hey, it was there. It
Hmm.
did the job.
People hate number one, number two, but I mean, I love them because they were entirely I see them as entirely character buildup,
Hmm.
which I love. They were character development, giving us a fantastic number three.
Yeah, three wouldn't be as good as it was without the first two. And that's what's
Hmm.
funny is that it's becoming a more popular opinion that episode three is like the best Star Wars movie. Like that's just like, I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying when you ask someone what their favorite Star Wars movie is, it's becoming pretty common to hear like Revenge of the Sith. You know.
I would put Revenge of the Sith at my number two, right behind Return of the Jedi,
Mm.
because I mean, just the entire like Vader coming back to the light side and stuff. Like you can't beat that.
Mhm. Yeah, it's funny that people put it so high on a pedestal, but then disregard the first two. They don't
Yeah,
understand that it is where it is because it had that build up and it did such a great job connecting those gaps.
yeah, I agree. I mean, a lot of people also will put Empire Strikes Back up there.
Hmm.
Um, I think Empire Strikes Back was a great movie. Also, um, I think there was some great scenes in that movie. Um, I mean, I just think any scene that had Vader in it was a fantastic scene, and that entire Hoth scene at the beginning, I think, was so iconic to Star Wars, and I had a ton of fun at that movie too.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I think that's probably Empire Strikes Back's pro. I think that's what everybody considers the best Star Wars movie. And I was kind of on the like you mentioned earlier. I think Return of the Jedi was my favorite for a long time until I actually understood Episode three.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Um, for me, also, what put number three was always awesome, just because I love seeing Anakin turn to the dark side. I think it's just such a the way that they did it was awesome. But what made it so much better was once you watch all of Clone Wars and then you watch the Mustafar scene, it makes it a million times harder because you really see that relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin. You see
Mm.
that relationship grow throughout all of the Clone Wars, especially like knowing what's happening with Ahsoka during that time and all that stuff, and her realizing what's going on.
Hmm.
And then also, like, seeing Maul, how frantic he was about getting Anakin to Mandalore to let him know, like, don't go to the dark side, don't go.
Mm.
Um, I just
Yeah.
think that watching Clone Wars and watching Revenge of the Sith makes it 1,000 times better, in my opinion.
Did you watch the Star Wars cartoon?
Which one?
Like the one that's it came out like to promote episode two, just that cartoon, that really short series.
Is it the Clone Wars, like the 2003 Clone Wars?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I've watched that multiple times.
So you've seen the like Anakin's foreshadowing in that cartoon as well.
Hmm.
So something that I wonder about is like in the cartoon they show all this foreshadowing of Anakin having these visions. You know, in the Clone Wars animated series, we see Anakin having these visions of turning to Darth Vader. A part of me almost thinks that they tease it too much in those prequels because I feel like early on, if he was having these visions of mass genocide and stuff, you feel like part of me thinks that he would have brought it up at some point. I don't know. So a part of me feels like you remember that scene in the Clone Wars animated series where Anakin's like at that, I completely forget where it was, but he was being tempted by the dark side of the Force,
Hmm.
and he was having these crazy visions. It's just like of Order 66 and stuff. It just felt almost a little bit too early.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that. Like in number two, when Obi-Wan is tied up and he's talking to Dooku, and Dooku tells him that there's like a Sith Lord that's running everything, and Obi-Wan doesn't say anything to the Jedi Council. Like
Mm,
that's kind of off.
that's
I
true.
also I also think that one of my biggest problems, this is kind of off topic, but something that is a problem for me is at the end of episode 3, she says, "Oh, this baby is Luke. This baby is Leia." That totally ruins like the plot twist at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Oh well,
Like,
okay.
or not Return
Yeah.
of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back. Like
Do you
saying
mean
that for
them being
someone who's
siblings?
them being Vader's child.
Hmm.
Like, so if you're watching one, starting at 1 and watching through 6, if you already know by number 3 that Vader's kids are Luke and Leia, then when Empire Strikes Back comes and you find out that Luke is Vader's child, then but you already know by that point.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Then that just brings up the discussion: do you show the Star Wars movies 1 through 6, or do you show them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3?
For story's sake, I go 1 through 6.
Yeah. So someone who'd never seen it before, so you understand that you'd be robbing them of the twist of Darth Vader is Luke's father, Leia's his sister.
I mean, for me, I also add Rogue One in there. I feel like you
Oh,
gotta
yes.
watch Rogue One. If you're
That's fair.
even, it's not a part of the Skywalker saga, but you gotta watch it. It has the best Darth Vader scenes in my opinion. So I feel like you gotta watch it.
I would agree.
I watch it even. I go 1, 2, Clone Wars, 3, then Rebels, then I
Yeah.
like to full binge everything. It's a little extreme, but
Yeah, that would be
on
intimidating for somebody new.
Mhm. No, but if I'm
Yeah.
showing it to someone new, then I definitely will just go like, um, that's actually a hard question because I've never shown the Star Wars movies to someone that hasn't seen them.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, it's difficult. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. I mean, it doesn't make sense logically to watch a series 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, unless you want to like understand culturally, like the technology at the time, see how it evolves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, you're like, but the story, like,
Hmm. Yeah, and I think I'm just nostalgic about it, and like also like me saying, "Oh, what about the twist?" I mean, that's me just defending it because of shock value, which is not why we watch Star Wars and why a lot of people gave Ryan Johnson a lot of flack
mm.
for leaning on shock value so much.
But that story twist is so great for someone who's never seen it. Finding out that the big bad guy, his son, is the hero of the movie. I
Mm,
mean, I wish I wish so bad that I was alive in the 70s and 80s to go and watch those movies in the theaters and be like, "Oh my god," in the theaters like with all these other
yeah,
kids.
that's well, when I was talking to Star Wars Santa like last week or whenever that was, I was asking him specifically these questions because I
Mhm.
wanted to know what was it like experiencing the twist, what was it like growing up with these movies. So, but I mean, we are very fortunate that we are living in the Star Wars time that we are, because then it was just books and that's it. Like we have
Mhm.
so much to be grateful for. Even when they're not putting out Star Wars content, we have so much.
Oh yeah, especially like even when there's not Star Wars content coming out right now, there's so much YouTube.
Mm,
Like even just hearing people's opinions, like one of my favorites to watch. I watch your channel. I watch Generation Tech. I don't know if you know who those guys are. I
I haven't
watch
heard of them
them.
yet, but I'll check them out.
They've got some pretty awesome videos. Eckhart's Ladder, Theory. Those guys are all like when there's no Star Wars content coming out, watching their videos are so much fun to watch.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, YouTube in general, all YouTube creators, even the small ones, like there's always so many different opinions and like different takes on, oh, this little thing means this, or this is connected to this. Like,
Yeah,
oh, you didn't understand this part because it actually is secretly tied into this part. Like,
yeah,
it just
and
it's like getting new Star Wars content when there's not content.
well, yeah, and that's the probably why Star Wars is so massively popular. Is George didn't even realize this, but when you cover the time frame of multiple generations on galaxy wide wars on multiple planets. Like
Hmm.
you tell a huge story with a ton of people, but then there's just tons of gaps. So
Hmm.
all we do is we try and fill in the gaps, and then eventually Filoni's filling in those gaps. But
What do you think of Filoni becoming the executive creator director at
yeah, so I was excited by that news, and then I watched a video today. Robot Head, not Robot Head, Drunk 3PO posted a video today where he said that Filoni's been in this position for the past year. They just never made it official. So now I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's what Aeromal told me, which I don't know if that surprises me because like for quite a while, I don't think it's been a year. I think it's probably been a little bit less. I think it's probably been a few months at least.
hmm,
But I mean, that's been pretty obvious by the way that there's been so much coming out. And when was it that they announced a ton of new shows from Star Wars? I mean, at that point,
that's
that's
true.
probably when he was probably at the helm then, when there was just this sudden like burst of like Star Wars ideas.
Yeah, I wonder what they're thinking behind the scenes. Like, what is Kathleen Kennedy doing right now? You know, what is she doing to contribute? Maybe she's doing a lot behind the scenes. I really don't know.
Maybe she's just doing the stuff that's pissing people off, and that's why they're just pushing her back little by little.
Hmm.
Because I mean, when was it they announced that uh, like her creative powers were being taken away a little bit? Like, I think
Yeah,
Filoni's trying to. He's bringing back a lot of the old Republic, or not old Republic, um, a lot of the old stuff in general that was retconned. He's kind of bringing it all back and potentially retconning the sequels. And I'm hoping that he'll bring back the Old Republic when they remaster the game, bringing it back to canon.
hmm.
Um, I think that would be pretty exciting, bringing back all this old stuff that fans loved.
Well, that's what happens, right? When they remaster something, that makes it canon, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because if Disney's supporting it, then that's how it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm very excited for that. It'll be pretty awesome.
yeah. It was. I mean, just thinking back to Kathleen Kennedy, it was pretty easy for her to kind of secure her legacy when she was brought in for the sequels, and she had to be a part of all three. But now that the sequels are done, that like guaranteed role that she has to fill is over. So like now we're really seeing like the Star Wars lovers are behind the wheel, and now we're seeing where it's going. It's just really awesome.
Aeromal last night on my stream said something pretty funny. It's that because George Lucas and Filoni made Clone Wars together and that era of content together. What if Filoni was like Lucas's Padawan, and now Filoni's the master, and pretty soon we could be seeing who Filoni's Padawan is going to be. He tried to say that it's going to be Theory, that Filoni's going to bring Theory in, and Theory is going to be the third generation Star Wars master.
That is a heartwarming theory. I mean, no pun intended. I think that would be really cool. Do you think that Theory is going to land George Lucas on his streams one of these days?
He's gotta at some point, man. That guy is such a George Lucas fan. He's such a wholesome guy. Like just watching him like fangirl over George Lucas, like it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it feels inevitable. It feels like he's just working his way through all these different people working behind the scenes. I wouldn't even be surprised if he's already landed something with George. He's just saving
Yeah.
it for at some point.
He's getting all these people who were so close to George Lucas when like during the making of all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
he's just slowly inching his way closer and closer.
Yeah. Yeah, almost 3 million. Okay, so we are just over the halfway point here. I feel like we are pretty safe to talk about some Bad Batch stuff now. If anybody watching this now hasn't seen the newest Bad Batch, just pause this. Well, you can't pause live, but come back to the stream later. So, what do you think of the newest episode?
Man, it was good. Of 2, 3, 4, it was definitely the best.
Yeah,
I don't think it's beat number one yet. I don't think anything.
really? You think the latest episode beat the first one?
No, I think it didn't beat the first one. I think
Hmm.
none of the mid level episodes will be able to beat number one. I think the only episode that will beat number one will be the finale.
Hmm.
Um, but I think seeing Fennec Shand was pretty awesome. The way that they kind of like, I thought the dialogue was pretty good. I thought that Echo had some pretty funny like one-liners throughout the episode. Um, I thought that it was the chase of trying to get Omega, and I thought that was just a very good like action-packed scene.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely it was a good episode. I had fun watching it. It does feel a little bit like they're starting to fall into the same thing that happened with Mandalorian, and that
that's
if
what, yeah, that's what I was telling. That's what I was saying to Arrow Mall last night. Is I was really hoping that Fennec Shand wasn't gonna get away with Omega, because then it would have just been the same as Mandalorian. Like, oh, they got the kid. Let's go get the kid back.
Hmm, that's true. Yeah, but at the same time, she didn't get the kid, so it was
Mhm.
nothing really happened this episode. It was just kind of like it was the classic. We need fuel. We need to fix the ship. Let's land somewhere. And it's good TV. I enjoyed it, but it just I really hope that like it doesn't become a show where it's just little one-off missions. I don't know.
No, I think we're gonna. I think we've been continuously getting little details, just here and there, just little bits,
Hmm.
um, leading us to something, and then it's all just stepping stones for this one huge finale.
Hmm.
Um, I think
Yeah.
the finale is going to be pretty pretty intense. I've got quite a few pretty big theories about the finale.
Oh yeah. What's your best one? Or you can
Man,
save it if you want.
um, I talked about it last night, so why not? We can talk about them. Man, let's see. I got quite a few. My biggest one is that um, I think my biggest one kind of is out of the picture now, because we were seeing um, Wreckers and Head hurting a little bit two
Hmm.
episodes ago. So I thought like, oh, well, what if one by one uh, one by one each one's inhibitor chip activates, and they slowly fall off to
Hmm.
the Empire one by one, and then eventually go after like Hunter or something. Um,
Hmm. Then he
I
would really fill in his Rambo role.
Yeah.
Being
Um,
a one-man show. Yeah.
I feel like if they continue on this dark past like pattern, I think that I think something's going to happen where someone's going to turn against Omega. I feel like um, either they're going to sacrifice themselves for Omega, or like their inhibitor chips are going to activate and they're going to turn against Omega or something like that.
Hmm.
Because I believe that Hunter's not going to survive, because if he would have survived, I believe he would have been with Rex and the other two clones um, in
Hmm.
Rebels. I mean, I believe they would have stuck together if Rex or if Hunter does survive. So I feel like that's why they've got to kill off Hunter, is because unless he would have gone off and completely cared for Omega and stayed with Omega. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel it's going to be more like, uh, me and Arrow Mall were talking about it, like a Camino uprising maybe. They go to Camino to help fight the Empire, and they end up sacrificing themselves to like help Omega escape. And then she's gonna pop up here in Mandalorian or Book of Boba or maybe Kenobi, one of these other shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even realize it until I watched Theory's breakdown today. And there was it in his video I thought of this? I don't know. But just that Fennec being in the show, like was kind of like a cool crossover to me. I wasn't like super excited about it until I realized the implications that it had if Omega were to appear in the Book of
Hmm.
Boba. They would have that connection already.
Yeah, I thought that it was cool seeing more dialogue from Fennec because we didn't get that much in Mandalorian. Um,
Hmm.
she was giving off some real free candy in my van vibes, though. The way she was
Yeah.
talking to Omega, but
Well, do you think that she was genuinely like treating Omega like a child because she's like still a good person but on a bounty, or do you think that it was all an act?
that's the thing. It was very hard to tell.
Hmm.
Like it was. There were certain times where she seemed like she was just like she talked to her in like a nice voice. Like there were some times where it seemed like she was being nice. Then there were some other times where it's kind of like, especially when she was being nice, and then all of a sudden just kind of like saw Hunter and like flipped a switch.
Hmm.
That the way she kind of handled herself there very much made it look like she's not being nice to you.
Hmm. Yeah. So that, yeah, it's true. I guess we won't know. I mean, based on what we see with her in Mandalorian, I guess we can kind of tell like it's kind of how these bounty hunters are. They're like a good
Mhm.
person, but the right price, you know.
Yeah,
They're not super on the line. So, and I
yeah.
guess it's good that we don't know.
I mean, even Boba Fett, we're seeing a little bit of it in Mandalorian, but like, I think it was either the comics or one of the novels. I mean, Boba Fett had like a full on family and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like Boba Fett was a good guy. Um, he just was a ruthless bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And it's cool seeing like that side of these characters. Like, even at certain points, like we saw Maul kind of be nice, only if it suited him, but he would still kind of like be nice and help out other characters.
Hmm.
Asajj Ventress, we saw a little bit with her. Um, it's cool seeing these bad characters that we like, man, I don't like them. And then we see that they're just people too.
Hmm. Yeah, I really love when they're like Boba Fett specifically being so honor bound, where
Mhm.
it's like the only time that they will do something for someone when there isn't money involved is if they feel they're obligated to, or they
Mhm.
feel they have to withhold their word or something.
Yeah, I agree. I like how they've made it so, um, like Boba is technically a clone, but he's still very Mandalorian bound. He's very honorable and lives
Yeah.
by his word, and he very much like kind of follows in that kind of Mandalorian, not full on Mandalorian, but just a little bit of like that honorable warrior.
Hmm. Which makes you wonder where how much of that he picked up, and I like there's probably comics about it that I haven't read, so fill me in. But like, what would have steered Boba towards doing that, like learning about his culture and his family's history? Because
I
yeah,
mean,
no one forced him to.
yeah, I haven't really read. I think it's comics. I haven't read them. I watched some videos on them, and kind of done a little bit of like search on the web.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't really know exactly. All I know is that he started a family, but then felt kind of weird about having a family and stuff. So then he kind of up and left.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean that makes sense. Probably there's always the fear of your family being used as collateral against you.
yeah,
So do you think we're going to see? Do you think that Fennec was a setup for a crossover to
oh
seeing
yeah,
live action Omega?
uh huh,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. We've seen it so much already. I mean, the crossover, Boba Fett, then going to Book of Boba, Ahsoka, creating the Ahsoka show. Um, I feel like Fennec coming into Bad Batch is just setting up for an older Omega to come
Mm,
in and maybe be in. What I'm hoping is that all this stuff is going to lead into like an Avengers Endgame style
mhm,
and lead into something like a big Endgame, whether either fighting Thrawn or with Thrawn. I'm hoping it's against the Yuzong Vong and that whole storyline, which is
mm,
no longer canon, I believe, but it's an awesome storyline.
mhm. You know, it's funny when the Bad Batch was about to come out, everybody was talking about Grogu. Was Grogu going to be in the show? And that seemed like a real possibility. But like now, it feels like we're almost getting a little farther away from the Order 66 thing and more into how the galaxy is adjusting. So I really can't see Grogu making an animated appearance at this point.
I agree. It's too long after Order 66. I mean, we're probably like close to a week after Order 66 now. At least like 4 days or so.
Mm.
So I mean, I think that we are too far away at this point for them to go all the way back to Coruscant, go back to the Jedi Temple, find this baby and stuff. I think so. We see in the trailer that she has what looks like a Night Sister bow, right?
Hmm.
I think in the next couple episodes, we're gonna go to Dathomir, and either Maul or Asajj Ventress are gonna give them that bow. But there's a lot of talk that Maul might be the one who saved Grogu. So maybe we could see Grogu with Maul, like on
Yeah, that
Dathomir.
would be something.
That's probably reaching a little too much, but
Yeah, why not reach, right? It's
I
just
mean,
a theory until the episode comes along and then we forget about it.
it's Star Wars. Everything we say is a bit of a reach.
Yeah. So my my biggest thing that I've been thinking about is this whole Wrecker thing. That's the thing that fascinates me the most is did he activate his chip when he hit his head in the ship? But I've also heard someone else make the theory that Wrecker he overemphasized how much he hurt his head so that he could stay in the ship and prepare Omega her room. Because he's a nice guy and he can't just go out of his way to do that unless he's like severely injured or something.
I think that's pretty cool. I mean, we've seen. I like how wholesome the show has. It's very dark, but it's also become very wholesome around Omega. Like they're really trying to be like a family for her. It seems like,
Mhm.
which I think is really cool. We saw that a little bit with the Mandalorian, but because of how little they talk, we didn't really see a full on like family vibe.
Mhm. True.
But we really are starting to see kind of like a full, like cohesive family with the Bad Batch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could definitely see like they're setting up this really nice relationship with Wrecker and Omega. It's this really pure relationship. And I could totally see that being a massive tragedy in the show. That
Me
Wrecker's chip
too.
turns on and like we're all gonna be crying like babies.
That or maybe that's where they bring it to the end is like maybe Wrecker's the one who sacrifices himself for Omega. I mean, maybe it's Vader and maybe Vader's going for Omega and we just see like Wrecker just full charge at Vader for Omega to like get away or something.
Yeah, well, that full charge didn't work out for him so well this episode.
Oh
That
yeah.
was kind of disappointing. I was getting pumped when I saw Wrecker enter the scene.
Especially when he like kind of whipped his helmet down and was getting all ready, like, oh yeah, let's go. And then he just, I feel like you could just kind of see it coming. Like
How
he's
did he
gonna
get knocked out? He's wearing a giant helmet.
exactly. Um, yeah, I think. Where do you think this bounty came from? Do you think it could be the Kaminoans wanting her back?
That's
Do
an
you think it
interesting
could be
question.
maybe Palpatine found out about a potential force sensitive clone and wants her back? So now Palpatine put out a bounty, and maybe at the end, maybe Fennec just keeps failing. So maybe at the end, Palpatine just eventually is like, Vader, you go do it.
Yeah, that is an interesting question. I mean, that's the whole. If some people think that she's force sensitive, and if Palpatine found out, he's trying to wipe out all the force sensitives. Could be that. I personally, I'm not with the whole force sensitive thing. I just don't. I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah. We would have seen more of it, I think, by now. We would have seen more little hints.
Yeah.
I mean, we only really saw like one hint when she was down with that like animal thing in that cave.
Hmm.
Um,
But she just didn't attack it. You know, that doesn't make her
yeah,
force sensitive. And part of me worries that they're like, because I mean, you have to admit, like, I love the Omega thing, but it is very much they did exactly what they did with Mandalorian. You know,
hmm
with the new kid, and then Grogu had all these fantastic force powers that came out and wowed everybody. Like that is not going to have the same shock value with Omega, in my opinion.
I feel like they can't make her force sensitive also because then it would just be another Mandalorian. Like you can't have just, oh, we're taking a break because we have to rewrite Mandalorian because Kathleen Kennedy didn't like this person. So now we're just going to give you a different Mandalorian to keep you hooked until the old Mandalorian comes back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And the implications of her being a Force clone, like you have to think, like of the thousands and I don't know how many clones were made, hundreds of millions of thousands. I don't know. The chances of this one being Force sensitive. I mean, she was like it's kind of implied that she was created on the side, right? Like it's kind of a
Well,
project
yeah,
clone.
she was the fifth altered clone
Yeah. So
because, like at the beginning, they say, oh, like she tells Tarkin, there's 5 genetically enhanced clones. Echo isn't one of them. Echo was just a normal clone who the Techno Union turned into a cyborg. So
yeah,
she's the genetically enhanced clone. So
yeah, that would imply that they know how to make Force sensitive people because if she was, yeah. I'm glad you brought up Echo though, because that was something that I wanted to touch on as well. Aside from him looking super badass this episode, I wish he looked like this all the time.
mm-hmm.
I'm finding that they're having a bit of a hard time really getting him to fill in his role in the Bad Batch.
Yeah, he's been very sidelined. Same, I feel like with Tech also. Tech has been very sidelined too.
He's just always in the ship, just working on something, which makes sense, but still, it's just been Hunter goes out with Omega, does X thing. Everyone else is at the ship.
Yeah, that, and then we see like the same Wrecker. Oh, I want the action, like every time.
And then he gets sidelined
Mm-hmm.
completely. I feel like they've totally nerfed Wrecker because
Uh-huh.
otherwise he would just wreck everybody.
Yeah, I mean, which makes sense. I mean, if you're going into hiding, you wouldn't want the biggest person walking out through the street. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're hanging out with Andre the Giant and you're trying to hide from the government, you wouldn't want Andre the Giant walking through the middle of like downtown New York.
Mm, yeah, that's true. I guess it's just tough when you have a show like The Bad Batch and all the characters are so obviously unique, and every
Mm-hmm.
character like they have their roles like it's very specific and unique. But it's just like, oh, Wrecker's too big, so we got to sideline him again. Oh, the tech guy is going to do some repairs, and it's Echo is part machine, so he can stick his arm in things sometimes. You know, like
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like they have these roles, but they're not really being utilized. I don't know if that's just the story
Yeah.
writing. I don't know.
I think it's maybe just because not this last episode, but 2 and 3 were mostly just filler, in my opinion. We got little important details like here and there, but like for the most part, it was kind of just filler, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really I mean because well at least in episode 2 they worked with Crosshair a little bit, right? So
Yeah.
they put the story was moving along a little bit, and I gotta say, man, like Crosshair in the Bad Batch, he was easily my least favorite. Like his whole like scandalous sniper guy, like I've never really been into that kind of character. But after he went Order 66, I'm enjoying him so much more now. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's because he's the new villain. Everyone likes a cool villain. Um, I think. What do you think about the whole theory that what do they call it? They the not the Dark Troopers, the ones from
Death
Rogue One,
Troopers.
Death Troopers. Yeah. What do you think about them all being clones of Crosshair?
I love that theory. I think
I think it's
it's
pretty awesome.
solid, but it's yeah, it's well. When you say clones, do you mean like actual clones or like?
Like the theory is that they took Crosshair's DNA and just made a bunch of clones of Crosshair, and that was the Death Troopers.
Yeah, well, the way that things are going, it really doesn't seem like they're going to make more clones. In my opinion, Tarkin really doesn't seem to like the clones at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see them using Crosshairs like the template for training and like building a whole system around him.
Yeah, because we know that they used the clones to train the original stormtroopers. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I could see that definitely happening. He trains a lot of them. I think we're definitely going to see the Kaminoan uprising. I think that's definitely where the show is going. They've made it so they've put like it very that maybe they're just gonna plot twist, but I feel like they've put it so right there in front of us.
It's true. Yeah, I really did not think there was going to be as much Camino as there was, and
Hmm.
I love it so much. I've always loved Camino. So
Yeah, I agree. Camino was awesome in Clone Wars when when we saw the attack on Camino, and like the episode where we first introduced to Clone 99,
mhm.
um, and we saw like the whole battle on Camino. That was pretty awesome. Um, they
And
had
Battlefront 2, the
yeah.
battle on Camino. You just feel right in it.
Hmm. Battlefront 2 is an awesome game. You feel like you're. I hate playing as the droids because I want to be a clone. I want to be a clone in the battle. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I I recently got TikTok to kind of
Oh yeah.
grow my channel a little bit, and I've been making some clone TikToks. I think I've posted a few of them on my YouTube also,
Mhm.
but there's ones that I made like the thoughts of a clone in battle. That was pretty fun. I did another one of those like calling all Battlefront players
I saw
ones.
that one. Yeah,
Yeah, they're fun to make.
yeah. I so when it comes to Battlefront 3, um, like they did the whole three eras thing. So I just wonder what they're going to be able to do in that game. That makes it like the diehard fans are going to buy it no matter what. But
Hmm.
when you're trying to sell it and market it, how are they going to make it different enough to pull in?
You gotta give us the good characters. I've been very adamant on get rid of Lando. We don't need to play as Lando. We don't really even see him fight in the movies. We don't need to fight. I mean, some people really like Leia. I'm not a big fan of like Leia as a character in the game. We don't see her fight in the movies. Give us people like Ahsoka. Give us Mace Windu. Give us like maybe like Kiadi Mundi
Hmm.
or Plo Koon. Give us like the Jedi that
Yeah,
we like. Um,
I feel like
maybe
they totally held back,
if we're
like
gonna,
intentionally.
maybe if like give us like Din Djarin, um, maybe Cal Kestis,
Hmm.
depending on if they want to bring that more into uh, the more movie area of Star Wars. For bad guys, um, maybe bring in some of like the give us like Thrawn. I think Thrawn would be an awesome character to play as. Um,
Yeah,
give us
I liked what's his name, Krennic from Rogue One.
yeah,
He was
Director
in the
Krennic.
first Battlefront, and I thought he was a fun character. He had a white cape. He was cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I think some skins for some characters, like I think I did a TikTok on like a Vader, like what we
Mhm.
need in Battlefront, a Vader skin where he's like all like battle torn, maybe like the slash in his helmet where it comes through. Maybe you can see like a robotic leg, some cuts in his armor.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, definitely skins. I mean, and maybe we want skins so badly because we've been playing the same game for so long, and we all
mhm.
desperately want to have unique profiles. But I guess I didn't really like the whole marketing thing for Battlefront 2 was the different eras. So maybe instead of the eras, because I think that's higher, it's too soon for High Republic. Old Republic doesn't seem to be there yet. Maybe that'll be Battlefront 4. But maybe
If they gave us some old Republic characters, I'd be down. Give us like a
give it 10
Revan.
years.
Give us like a Revan. Give us like Bane, a Malgus. Give us those old Sith that just absolutely shred.
Hmm. Yeah, so I wonder if they're gonna have like their selling point is gonna be like the Mandalorian show and Fallen Order and the Bad Batch, or are those people all gonna be released as DLC? I don't know. I don't think they could get away with that.
I think kind of like how you play as Chewbacca, he has like that kind of stomp, like smash thing that he does. Maybe give like a Wrecker that has very similar abilities. You can like charge at people. Um, give him the same blaster that like the commandos have, and give us like Wrecker as a character. He'd be an awesome character to play as.
Yeah, really makes me wish I had a PC
Yeah,
because those mods are sick.
me too, man. Playing on an Xbox, I feel so lame because all these cool games you like PC just is better in like for all games because like you can just get awesome mods and just constantly be changing your game.
Hmm.
Even for like what's it called? Fallen Order. Like there's so many awesome mods for Fallen Order that people have where you can like give him a red lightsaber and make him a Sith. You can like
Mhm.
so there's ones where you can make him like a droid and stuff. There's some cool stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully they realize, like, Lucas Games or whoever it is, like, they realize how much we care about customization. Like, it is
Hmm.
a massive part of the Star Wars fan base. I didn't realize it until Battlefront 2 came out, how badly people want it. But hopefully they realize that.
I liked Battlefront 1 a lot. Battlefront 1 was a lot of fun.
Me too. Yeah.
But I like if you give us Battlefront 1, but like all the customization and more that we have in Battlefront 2, and give us the Clone Wars also. I almost only play as the Clone Wars in Battlefront. Clone Wars is just, it's so much fun because you're not just Stormtrooper Rebellion. You can be 501st, you can be 7th Sky Corps, you can be a jetpack trooper.
Yeah, they did the clones well.
You can be a clone commando. Like you can be literally any clone from any unit you want. I think they did the Clone Wars perfectly.
I would agree. I would agree. Okay, well, I think that's been about an hour, so I'm going to wrap things up. Time
All right.
always goes fast when we're talking Star Wars. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for coming on the show. Is
Hey,
there
thank you
anything?
so much for having me on, man.
Yeah, is there any future projects or anything you wanna plug real quick before we end the stream?
Check out my Instagram, same name, Star Wars Casual. My TikTok. Definitely go check out the YouTube channel. I've got some pretty cool video ideas I'm working on right now. So yeah, just go check out that stuff.
Okay, right on. Yeah, thank you
Awesome.
so much
Thanks
for
having me on,
joining
man.
me. And I will end the stream now. I will see you guys next time. May the force be with you.